Hey everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Alex Hogue, and I'm going to be your host for the next 90 minutes or so. Myself, I am a video editor, shooter, producer out in Bend, Oregon. I run a small studio called Outward Element, and today I am joined by the talented Mandy Celine, who does a lot of the same stuff, but she is a director, editor, a DP, or a DOP, director of photography, if you're out in the UK. And she's also the founder of her own studio, Breadbox Studios. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of AI editing tools inside of Premiere. So, we'll be talking video editing tips and tricks and text based editing, how to remove and replace words. And whether you are watching from YouTube or Behance, please feel free to join in the chat. We already have some people hopping in here. I see Oliver, I see Robert, Jack, how's it going? Susan, how you doing? And we got Brem and Ryan. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Let's go ahead and jump into it. And one last thing, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and Behance and over on Instagram at Adobe Live. Enough of that. Let's say hi to Mandy. Mandy, how are you doing?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us again. This is the second time I've had the pleasure of hanging out with you here. And I know we got to meet in person finally at Adobe Max a few weeks ago.
Oh,
But what's
best.
new? How you been doing?
Yeah, it's been good. Just go, go, go since I got back. Can't really complain. So it's been good. It was good to see you in person as well in like 340.
Exactly. So I know a little bit about you already, but not all of our audience does. So why don't you go ahead and kind of give us a little sneak peek into your background, what you do, how you got into what you do, and yeah, tell us all about it.
I think you described it really well. So thank you for that. And like I call them like slashes or hyphenates. We're just doing a few things at once at the moment, as is the modern times. So yeah, I'm a director. I run my own studio, editing studio, Breadbox Studios, have a great team behind me on that. And I'm also a DOP. Yeah, I didn't realize that was a British only thing
I've
and that it gets
I just
shortened.
found that out like a week ago. I didn't even realize it because I've heard them both. But yeah, here in the States, we say DP for director of photography. And I think I heard it on a podcast or something like that. But
Yeah, I found out when I was over because I kept saying it. Everyone's like, "Why are you adding the O?" And I'm like, "It's just a thing here." But yeah, I actually came up through, believe it or not, YouTube. So with YouTube editors, and it's kind of grown and expanded from there, and also in the beauty industry in the UK in particular, which is why you're seeing a lot of like L'Oreal runways in various countries. I think it was like Switzerland and France, which is really fun. Done stuff for Trinity London in the UK, might not mean much in the US, but big brand here. Hello Sunday, Crayola Beauty. Um, and I was in travel for a few years before the
I,
pandemic.
I was gonna say, like, your reel here is stunning. It looks like you've done a lot of traveling, with a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
was the
different places here.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like my husband is a travel and adventure photographer, so we would
There you go.
just kind of be the duo that would go around doing stuff for like tourism boards like Antigua Barbuda or Croatia or Austria. So it was super fun. Loved that. That's kind of come to a bit of a halt while we focus on commercial and branded these days and our YouTube art. And we also do a bit of corporate, which you'll see as well. So
Right on. And where can people find your work and follow you?
I'm the very best places on Instagram. It's just my name, Mandy Celine. I tend to use stories a lot more there than posts, but I think that's everyone these days. But there are reels coming. I'm actually trying to make reels because every single friend at Adobe was like, you should make reels.
You
So,
know, it's a lot of work to keep up with all the platforms and
oh,
run a
I refuse.
business. So
I mean, like, I come back from like, I work with a lot of influencers. I did it way back when like you were huge for having 20,000 subscribers in the UK. And I learned, I was like, I can't do that
right.
and this. So I have mad respect to the influencers out there doing it all.
Right on. Well, I love your reel here, especially, I mean, some of these images are absolutely stunning. So
Oh,
props to you
thank
for
you.
shooting and editing this.
Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be working on today?
Right, I'll take this off your screens. Well, today we're gonna be going into text-based editing because it's a new feature. It really is the feature of the year for Adobe, I've been finding, but it's also a great feature to get you into editing because I feel like anyone can get started via text-based editing because it's basically doing a paper edit, which is great. And we'll talk more about that. We're going to talk about the transcription, how it works, like little features like removing filler words or pauses. Um, that's a big one, I think, deleting pauses, especially for
Hmm.
creators. We're also going to talk about the enhanced speech feature. And I have some really fun factory footage with Maddie Moat, who kindly let me use the footage we shot this week in a factory, 2 factories. And she's great. And we also have the remix tool, which is my favorite tool, FYI. It's like
Which
the
I
impressive
think a
one.
lot of people don't know about it. I'm actually curious. There's a bit of a delay on the stream here, just a few seconds, but anyone in the chat, let me know if you've used the remix tool and if you've used text-based editing inside of Premiere. Just be curious to know where everyone's at, and if everyone's just getting started or if you've been using it, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I think the remix tool as well is like a year old, maybe
Mhm.
two. I don't know. Time's a bit after a year, time's a bit weird for me, as to be honest.
It gets worse as you get older.
Oh my god! And then we have scene edit detection, which is a great tool for editors who often get handed full edits and get told to find B-roll in it. So I'm going to show you that with actually a corporate clip someone sent me, being like, "Find B-roll in this." So real scenario. The auto-reframe tool, again, this one's been around for a minute compared to the other features, but I think it's really good to highlight just to save some time. I'm also going to go into a couple of the color features happening, like auto color detection. That's a bit newer,
Cool.
and just highlight some things coming with Gamma.
This is exciting.
And
I haven't even gotten to play with
hopefully
all this
fit
yet. So yeah.
it. Yeah, sorry about that. I think there is an ever so slight delay.
No, it's fine. Go ahead and I think go ahead and take us into it if you don't mind. And actually I do have one question before we get started, and this is kind of a philosophical personal question, but I'm curious for anyone that's new and kind of starting out, what in your experience, what is one piece of advice that you would give new video editors that you've learned? If you had to pick one thing to let them know, what would you say?
Ooh, was that for me or just the audience?
That's for you to tell our audience, because I think we do have a lot of new editors out there, and I'm just curious, what would you tell those new editors?
I always tell everyone to like absorb so much content in many different genres because you pick up the editing of it and it's quite rhythmic. We were actually watching a horror film recently and it was in the background of a Halloween party, so we weren't watching it. And someone had put music in the background and you could see how the cutting was so rhythmic and it was fascinating. I was like, I've got to do this for a class at some point. It was really cool.
Okay, so just absorb content from different
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, 100%.
Excellent.
Because you'll get text ideas from anything from like Mindhunter to a documentary to Stranger Things or whatever. You'll get graphics, you'll get color. I think absorbing content, it becomes natural after a while. You start understanding pacing.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and dive into it. Hey Ryan, I see you, and gamer lovers, and Robert. Oh, got some
Oh,
audio cut
sorry.
out there.
I'm just
Oh, okay.
gonna, yeah, mute Andy for a minute. He's
Okay.
fine.
So we're working here in Adobe Premiere, the new 24 version 24.
We are working in version 24. So I'm even quite new to this recently. I'm one of those people that have to put off downloading newer versions while I'm working on something. But I'm quite new to it. So if I forget a button, hang tight because a couple of things have moved. But this is Andy. I filmed this for Etsy with Adobe actually. And he's explaining some Adobe Express stuff. But this is a 19-minute piece of footage, which is
Ooh,
mammoth really when
yeah.
you're trying to find words. And this is why I like text-based editing, because it's really good for rough cuts, as I said, documentary and interviews. Like this is the perfect situation for it. And we did have a teleprompter, but he kind of just went off teleprompter every now and again. So there's only so much.
Authenticity. That's how you get the good
Yeah.
authentic stuff. I can't even talk. So
No, authenticity is a very hard word. I've been there.
only on
um
Mondays.
yeah, and he's like, he was honestly, he was brilliant because I was like, oh, I've got to keep up with the teleprompter, and I'm losing a bit pace because he knew exactly what he was doing. So what I like about text-based editing is it's like editing a document. So the first thing I want to do is show you how you can automatically get Premiere to transcribe for you before you get started. So we're just going to dip into the settings here. So you go File, Premiere Pro, and the settings right here. And you're actually going to go down to transcription. And you're literally just going to click that button and tell it to transcribe. Every time you open Premiere Pro, it's going to automatically just start transcribing your footage, so you're not having to click transcribe this every single time, which is quite nice, because after a while you do start using it. You can choose to enable language auto detection as well, but I think I work in English, so it pretty much knows what I'm doing. Let's give it a go.
And I will say to Penny Doodles, and also what Mandy just commented on, when you go to update to a brand new version, so you're going from version 23 to 24, it's a big step. And I think it's best practice to finish your project first before updating. So everyone in the chat, definitely feel those pains. Get those projects done, clear your cache, then update, just to avoid any kind of little issues.
I will say you are able to run 2 versions of Premiere Pro on your computer, I think. So I was at the time doing 22 and 23, but I have rounded off all my 22 projects. It's just out of habit. It was still there. So today I was like, oh, okay, I'll get 24 and I'll start afresh.
But it's so exciting to get into 24 and the new versions.
It's faster too.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's transcribing this. It's going to take a couple of minutes. Again, it's a 19-minute piece of footage. I could have chosen something smaller, but I didn't. So.
How long would it take you to read all this? 19 minutes?
Well, I'd have to transcribe it first, so it'd take me a long time, especially because I'm dyslexic. It doesn't look like it's doing it, which is super fun. So we'll figure it out together, because usually when I tested this, it was super fast. So I'm just gonna stop it for a minute. We'll only get it to do, like, let's just do here and see if it does it.
Takes a big toll on the computer to be able to stream and run video editing programs all at the same time too.
Mine's a good computer. Oh, there we go. We got some movement now. It just needed literally a minute.
You just had to tell it that it was a good computer, give it some love, and now it works.
Yeah, now it's working. Just sometimes maybe it's because I was like, I want this 19-minute piece of footage, and I told it to do everything in one go. Who knows? And now it's 2 minutes, but I feel we can keep talking.
Yeah, and so you're out in London. I'm in Bend, Oregon, which is just crazy with technology these days. For our audience, everyone in YouTube, Behance, where is everyone from? I'd be curious to know, and I'd also be curious to know how video editing plays a role in your life, whether you're doing it for work or for fun. If you do have any questions as we're going through the chat, throw them in there, and myself and Mandy will answer those as best as we can.
Absolutely.
So it's chugging away there.
There we go. I think, yeah, it's just gotten a bit confused today. It's fine. It is like I'm waiting for like just a little update with 24 for bugs like this, but it happens, I think, with every new software version 1. It's the same reason I don't have Sonoma yet on my OS. I'm like,
there you go. Yeah, updating things is it's always a risky business. It's a love-hate thing for me, but when it works, it's great.
Oh, there we go. It's figured it out.
It's going. While we're waiting, do you like podcasts? Just out of curiosity.
I do not listen to enough podcasts, but I have started to try and find some because I'm not listening to music as much recently. Okay. I don't know why.
Well, podcasts, I love podcasts. I listen to a lot of them, and I got a good one for you to listen to. Do you know what I'm going to say? Do you know what it's called?
The editing podcast?
It's called In the Making, and it's Adobe's very own podcast hosted by Teresa Au. And I got to say, I've been listening to it, especially since coming back from Max and on the plane and traveling, and it's top notch. I highly recommend it. So if you guys like podcasts, check it out. We'll have our moderators post a link to the podcast. It's called In the Making. You can find it on Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, it's there. So definitely go check it out, subscribe to it. I really enjoy it, so I hope they continue to keep making it. But
I was like, I actually took note at Adobe Max that was coming, and I was like, I need to check that out. Anyway, we have this little transcription of how much has it done. Oh, it did the whole timeline.
The official term? That's how much it's done. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it did the whole timeline. It didn't even do the in and out, so it got a bit confused. And like, that's a lot. Like, I'm never going to do that in 5 minutes. So I appreciate that.
I can't even read that in 5 minutes.
So yeah, as you can see, wrong button. Sorry, lads. So like it puts in the pauses, which are these brackets and little dots. We'll come to that in a bit, but it is really useful. You can also find all your filler words. Where are they? We'll figure those out in a second.
Uh,
So
is it that little filter button? Was it coming up there? No, on the
it's usually, it
left.
was here. It looks like they've maybe moved it.
I think like next to your search is that, yeah, one button over to your left. I think that search filter one.
There, yeah, I don't.
Oh wait, you know what? Filler might be in beta only, actually.
It might be in beta. Okay, so we'll pass on the filler, but filler words is coming. For some reason, I thought it was in 24, but I must have been using beta and didn't realize. We might be able to hop over to beta. I'll just get a transcription going while we're working on this one.
Hopefully, I'm
So
right on that. I could be wrong, but I think filler specifically is in beta, but maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
there it is. I want you to come over here because I like my things to be in the same place every time. So while this is transcribing, we're going to work in this one because I think Andy does a couple of perfect things here. So
thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Love Andy. So one of my favorite features is the search, because being able to search your video, I think, is just iconic. So for example, what word are we going to try and find at some point? So maybe I want to do as we're talking about social.
What's the topic that he's discussing?
He's actually talking about Adobe Express and how you can make social media templates and things like that. Again, it's a 90-minute chat. It covers a lot, and how Express is good for your business, particularly if you're an Etsy creator. But yeah, I could just type in as we're talking, or we can talk about, I'm sure Etsy shows up a couple of times, and it will find every single time 16 results, as we can see right over here. Etsy is mentioned, so maybe you wanted to change Etsy to a different brand, and you can. So all you have to do is click replace with, let's pretend, Adobe. This won't be at all confusing. Maybe I don't do Adobe. Let's do
comes up with so many.
Like I'm like on the spot. What should we change?
But that's
Etsy
actually
to?
what I love. Yeah, it's good. It's a great way to just find footage so much faster without having to listen through it all. In the past, I would put markers on everything, which alone takes forever.
Let's say
marker.
Is
so much faster.
And then you just kind of click replace all, and it will replace all 16 now with marker in the text, which is just like, so you're already fixing your transcription the whole way through super, super quickly. I'm just going to undo that though, because that's going to get me in trouble at some point. Because I'll be looking for Etsy and I won't find it.
And how does one find this this transcript here, like that window?
So this is the text window over here. I naturally always have it there. The other way to find it is to go up to window, or I imagine it's window on a PC as well. Yep. And then you just scroll down and you hit text here.
Boom. There it is. If you guys don't see it, that's where it's at. And if you're wondering too, we got people from all over: Ohio, France, some other UKers, Sweden.
UKers represent. Europe in general represent. Big love for Europe here. It's nighttime here. Also, we just went through daylight savings like the other day.
I think we got that coming up.
Yeah,
so and then when I need extra coffee,
it's actually okay because you gain an hour this way. But in March, I was in San Francisco, and so America had their daylight savings a week or two before us, so I got to experience it twice, which I was not a fan.
Yeah,
but there we go.
I'm just not a fan of daylight savings in general, but
me neither.
I digress. Yeah.
Yes. So we want to get out of replace. So something we want to do as well. I want to show you guys how you can delete all your pauses, because this is like powerful for our creators. So you would simply just hit like the brackets, 1, 2, 3, that, get it to find them. It should find all of them. Come on. Or you could go here and pauses and it will select them all. That's way easier.
Boom. Look at that.
They're all there, and you can just click delete. And there's two options you get when you click delete, which is extract and lift. So if you click lift, we'll do that first. And you can click delete all. So he's got 51 pauses. Delete all. And what you'll see in the timeline, is particularly here is a good example,
Let's
is
put
when
some
you
little
click
gaps.
lift, it gets rid of all the pauses but keeps the gaps, which can be useful for some people. Some people want to do their own time management, and that's totally fine. The other thing you can do, I'm just control Zing that, is you can go to your pauses and click extract. And when you do that and click delete all, it creates all of these cuts and it ripple deletes. So it pushes the timeline.
So it closes
back.
all those gaps just right away,
Yeah,
which
close
is,
them right away.
oh my gosh, that's so helpful. And that's not in the other versions. This is a new feature. I don't
This
think
is
that
new.
was in, yeah, I don't think that was in the previous version.
So let's see here. There seems to be a lot of cuts.
You to get creating, build your brand, and share your content with the world. Head to adobe.etsy.com to grab your free trial and give Adobe Express a go.
Oh, it got me. That's not the best example.
You were amazing.
Did you only told it to get rid of the pauses though, right? Or
Yeah, it's just the
Head
pauses.
and
missed
schedule
one
it.
of them.
Now we've
Okay.
created.
Yeah, it's done it perfectly in other bits, and then I would go through and delete stuff. So the fun thing about text-based editing, and that's actually a really good place to do it. I'll go back to where I was here, right? So it should move over here every time I move this. It actually moves in the text window, which I love, adore that feature. So like I could go through and be like, I hope you get inspired to get creating and give Adobe Express a go. Love that. Well done, Andy. Lovely sign off and ending. If I wanted to change it, I could just select here. You're amazing. You got this. Very encouraging director. We don't need any of this. Okay, cool.
So were these, what was the end goal for these? Were these like social media cuts or kind of everything? Were you building a big cut and shorter cut downs?
I was fortunate to not be editing this. So
Okay.
I was just hired to film it in the UK and it went off to New York. Very weird experience, remote. Like I had to have the New York office on our call looking at all our camera monitors. So that was fascinating. It's the first time I've done that.
Yeah.
But I've highlighted everything.
Everyone.
I know, like they weren't even like the client wasn't even with me. They were just on Zoom and they could hear everything we were doing, but they really left us to it otherwise. And they were like, yep, we've approved the color, we've approved the seat, we've approved everything. And they were talking to us and we could hear them as if they were in the room. It was wild.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I had this really lovely DP with me actually as well, who's amazing, called Jack. So
Shout out
really,
Jack.
I really got to focus. He's very good. And the weird thing is I found him on a website called Fat Llama because I needed to rent a camera a couple of years ago. So it's a big rental site in the UK. And like we just became friends. So that's been really cool.
And hey, Mandy, I do have a question from the chat. This one's coming from over on YouTube. But the question is, are you going to be talking about text-based editing for multicam in today's
Not
segment?
today, I'm afraid, only because I don't have multicam examples with me, but I'll write it down and we'll probably do it in the future.
All right, Rodrigo, there you go. Sorry, but not today, but in the future.
I could have set this up as a multicam, but it would take too long.
Yeah, we do have a tight window to work through, so.
Yeah, I'd have to get out hard drives, because this is a whole example hard drive. Anyway, so I've selected everything I don't want, so I can get that line again, and I simply just highlight and I delete, and it creates that cut here, which I love. Let's do that again, and I'm going to zoom out on the timeline for you so you can really see it. So you can see it selected an in and out point as well of where I've highlighted, and I just click the delete button and it's just gotten rid of it. Now, usually it ripple deletes that, but it didn't do it this time. There we go. So if I just wanted to go back up, you're amazing.
I love your sound effects.
I don't know why I do it. I like to fill space with sound, apparently. Useless. And I just click simply delete. There we go. And it ripple deleted. So it must be because I undid it.
So the traditional way would be, I think most people would look at the waveform and kind of see those flat areas and cut that out. kind of one at a time.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it that way? Like, why would you do it this new way?
Because I'm a talky person. So in the silence, I need to get rid of my direction. So for example, there's a bit here I can say great. I can just go through and delete, and that's my direction gone. And that's way faster, and it would have shown up on the waveforms a little bit. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
about
that's
efficiency.
useful.
Yeah.
It's way faster than looking at waveforms.
I just finished doing this mini documentary piece about Oklahoma City Police Department and how they're using drones. And some of the footage I had from that was actual dispatched audio. And if you've ever seen a clip like that, it's a really long clip from like the whole scene. It could be like a 2-hour long clip, but a ton of that is just dead airspace. And this is a perfect use case for that project that I was just doing recently. To basically, I wanted to hear all the little nuggets in the dispatch audio, but I didn't want to sit there and go through it and cut it down and scroll through a huge timeline. So this was a perfect use case for that. So I'm definitely, that's how I use it.
The pauses feature is perfect for that kind of thing when there's just so much dead air. So that's great. Unfortunately, this has not got, like, we got rid of the dead air, so what's left is me talking. And here's a great example. It's just me saying we're focusing. I think that we're slating here. That's probably why, I have a feeling. Yeah. So we're just doing that. 3, 2, and I say 1, not end. FYI, I know that for a fact. And I can just go in and click again, delete, and it gets rid of all that. So I'm just very quickly getting rid of stuff that's not very useful to my edit, and I can do a very quick paper edit, and I can see 1 or 2 different takes at once. Super useful. One of my favorite features that's come out in a long time in Premiere.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
and it's only getting better. Like, this is already being advanced in the beta version. If you guys want to go play around in Premiere beta, it's open. Just go to Creative Cloud and download the beta as well. There are new features, and this is available now, like in Premiere 24. So
yes, this is what's in Premiere 24. I always like to highlight these 2 buttons, even though they're not going to show properly here. So this selected here means it's my timeline, my sequence, as it were. And this is just all my media. And I tend to get confused with the all my media one, so I only work on the timeline one. So it's good to know that that's selected as well.
What do you mean when you say all my media? Like the source clips?
It's all the source. It transcribes all the source clips. You can't edit them as much, but like it transcribes all the source clips, so you can go through and look at it. This is much less complicated. So, I stick with that. My brain, I can't even handle like 360 editing. Like I'm like not the 360 editor.
Fair enough.
Can't do
Fair
it.
enough.
So like that's fine. There's like I like story. I like seeing what's on the screen, and then like there's a secret. No.
Yeah, 360 is another world.
I can't do it personally. So let's dip into the beta actually to have a look at that filler words. Maddie is a very pro presenter. There's a good chance she has no filler words. Unlike myself, if we were
that's amazing. And so you just swapped over to the beta version.
I did. So this is the beta here.
Could you touch on, if people wanted to follow along with you here or try this out later, how would one access the beta?
Through the Creative Cloud app. I wonder if I can get mine up. Can you see this?
There you go. Yep.
Beautiful. So when you have an Adobe account, you have this like Creative Cloud app, and it's amazing. And you can click on apps, and it will show you updates to all the apps that you currently have. You're about to see all the apps I need to update and what I've updated recently. And you can click all apps, and like you'll find them here. The best part is if you click into Premiere. Where is my Premiere Pro? Right. Oh, no. You know what? We can search it, which is what I did because I was looking for 23 because I was like, I have to fix something on a project. So let's go Premiere Pro. If you go to Premiere Pro, you can open that up, have a look at what's in there. And if you need an older version, you can just click older versions and install all these older versions up until 22.
Yeah, that's an excellent comment there. If you ever run into issues updating in the middle of a project, which you shouldn't do in the first place, please don't do that. You can always go back and change things, which is great. Cool.
Yeah,
So that's how we do it. It's just accessible in the Creative
You
Cloud
can see
app.
I've got it. So you've got the 2 versions. So I have 3 versions of Premiere currently running on my computer.
Oh, you're prepared.
Oh my goodness. No wonder it's acting up.
Yeah, there's also, I know in that apps category on the left-hand side in the window, just as Reverb Mike was saying, there's like a beta drop down as well. But it's okay. It's in there. Let's go ahead and let's get to the meat of this.
Yes. So
we could do a whole video on beta as well. So
yeah. So yes, filler words is a beta feature, which is my bad. I get confused because we're using 3 versions of Premiere.
Hey, this video is gonna live on in the future. It's gonna be archived on Behance and YouTube and everything. So this might be out of beta by the time you people in the future are watching. So
that's true. Enjoy all my mistakes. It's live. So as it were.
Doing great.
So you can go up to this button here and click filler words. Now, Maddie has none because this is not the clip I had prepared. And she is a pro, but she does have pauses, and it works in the exact same way as pauses. You can highlight the pauses, click delete, extract, delete all, they're gone. There's not even that many pauses because I chopped down the clip to, for time. Here's one I did earlier. For those in the UK, they'll understand that joke. So it's a Blue Peter reference.
Hey, McCorn, thanks for joining in, and everyone in the chat. Mandy, could you just give us a real quick, maybe like 30-second recap of what we've done so far and then what the next step is?
Absolutely. So I think we're done with text-based editing pretty much.
Okay.
So what we've done is we went through, we got our sequence to transcribe automatically with the magic of the settings. So that was great. We went through our Premiere settings, transcription, and clicked auto transcribe clips. We looked at pauses, how to remove them by either lifting or extracting them, which Ripple deletes them and Lift keeps them in place with all the gaps. We also searched for words, which, that's that is one of my, like, that is the best. Like, I feel bad for all the editors that weren't able to search their timeline before this, because that is just
I love that line. That is a great quote.
Oh, I do feel bad. We went through filler words very briefly in beta because it turns out it's not in 24 yet, but it will be. It is coming soon. Things that tend to go out in beta tend to ship very soon into
and
the
it
main
works
product.
the same exact way.
Same.
So
and it's
so
just
next?
It gives them a way to tweak it. We've learned how to replace all our words if we need to. And we learned how to do a rough cut and to very quickly delete things within text-based editing as we go along. I think that was everything we did. Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot already. And we got maybe just under an hour or so left. But what's next on the agenda?
We're back into beta. So let's say goodbye to Andy and head over to Maddie.
Andy. Everyone wave bye.
Bye, Andy. So Maddie is a wonderful presenter that if you grew up in the last 10 years on, like, in the UK, you'll know her from CBBC and CBBS with her show Do You Know? And she does a lot on YouTube Kids and has a YouTube Kids original. So she's killing it in the game. She really is. She went for the kids thing hard, and she teaches, I would say, elementary, lower end school, primary school in the UK, kind of how to do things and what they are. And she, honestly, this woman, fascinated by everything around her. I really want to take her to a magician because she'd be the best audience member. She's like, wow, and like everything. Beautiful.
Well, please record it if you do. Yeah.
There's probably one around. I promise you'll probably see it. She's going to come up in a few examples. So we filmed in a glass and a paint factory this week, and factories are really, really loud, just insanely loud. And thanks to a new enhanced speech feature on Premiere Pro beta currently, it saved me so many times. I'm using this beta nonstop. So let's have a listen.
It's a long melting process. In fact, it takes about 3 days for all of the ingredients to slowly make and melt their way through the furnace. Now, it is way too hot for us to go inside, but we can have a little peek.
Oh my gosh, I love her enthusiasm. That's amazing. But you can clearly hear the background machinery noise and kind of white filler noise back there.
Oh, it's so bad. I'm just getting her exit back in. I just realized it deleted her exit. Sometimes we don't want to delete all pauses. She like walks off and then walks in on another shot. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Maybe that's an instance. you know, in this case, it's great that it left that little gap there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great. So we're going to just click this. Now, something else that's coming in the beta, I'm not going to touch on it because I don't have a lot of examples, is the auto tag. So before, you used to have to go to music and tag it, and then sound effects and select all of them and tag it. And I tended to work track by track. So I'd have like track 2 is sound effects, track 1 is voice, and track 3 is whatever. Now you can just select everything and it will auto tag it, and it's pretty accurate, which is great. So let's test that out today by clicking auto tag over here, and it's done it already. It's dialogue. It knew, even with all that sound. I was really scared it was going to say it was ambient noise or sound effects.
I mean, we are still in Premiere, and I would say to Reverb Mike in the chat, getting it to work as well inside of Premiere versus in the web version, which is Adobe Podcast, which has been around a little while, also in beta. But this is beta, and I think that's a great opportunity to bring up the fact that this is beta. You can submit your feedback. That's the whole point.
I do it all the time.
That upper right-hand corner. I know all the engineers at Adobe appreciate that, and that's how we make the program better. So it's still being worked on, but I think I actively know they're still, you know, refining it and taking that feedback, and that feedback's super valuable. So if you guys are working in Premiere, it does. I've met them. They're real people. And they're great people. So definitely provide that feedback for the engineers and for the team. So it helps everyone.
Yeah, they're brilliant. So this is actually really easy. I'm just going to select the clip and click enhance.
It's like something out of like Mission Impossible, just enhance. Like the future is here.
You know what? It's not even showing you the coolness because I've already done it once, which is a bit sad. So it's already figured out. It was like super quick. And I'm just going to show you what it sounds like now.
It's a long melting process. In fact, it takes about 3 days for all of the ingredients to slowly make and melt their way through the furnace. Now, it is way too hot for us to go inside.
That's amazing.
It did it so fast. Yeah, let's go back through that, just a before and after.
Yeah,
it's a long melting process. In fact, it takes about 3 days for all of the ingredients.
Oh my god, so
wow. And how is she mic'd, or is there a boom mic? How is this recorded?
We're using a clip mic. I actually am right. So there's this really niche mic that no one seems to know about. They're called PicoMics, and I got them for corporate jobs. And it's smaller than Rhodes. I can't. Where are they? In fact, hang tight. I can show you them because they're really insanely good. 2 seconds.
Right. All right. Well, while she's grabbing the microphones.
I got him.
I don't even think that was 2 seconds.
I was like, I'm leaving the chat.
I don't even think that was 2 seconds. Yeah, I was like, okay, well.
So it's like this device, right?
Okay.
And they are this big. That's the whole thing. And I've even put a wind thing on it because I was scared. They don't usually have these on it. So there we go. That's it. That's the whole microphone. And you slide it over your clothes.
Love it.
And it's much smaller than a Rode.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Or the other brands, which I won't throw all the brands out there, but
so they're a French brand, and they've like been
What's
amazing.
the name of it again? I think some people are
Pico, P-I-C. Yeah.
All right, tools of the trade. So now you can just clip that on and get crystal clear audio, even in a factory. And did you shoot this anticipating to do that, or is this after the fact?
Oh, I knew I would have to use the enhanced speech thing because we filmed in factories before. So I did one in a bakery and I couldn't get rid of the sound. And the thing, we actually have a whole sentence for it where we're like, oh, you know, it's in situ. We're in a factory. It is what it is. So I actually might keep a little bit in the background so you feel like you're in the factory. I don't want it to be as clean as I would for a podcast. But the fact that I could clean that up all the way, I'm surprised. I honestly, I have to edit this tomorrow, so I'm surprised I did that good a job. So
there you go. Great. I've also been in scenarios on production because this has been in the web version on the Adobe Podcast for a while. Now it's finally in Premiere, in the beta. But I've been on productions where you're like, oh man, it's pretty noisy here. Do we have the time to move over or like find a new location? And then in my mind, I'll just be like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm pretty sure the AI will take care of this. It's not even going to be an issue. Let's roll with it. Let's keep going. So it's interesting to see how tools in post-production are actually affecting the production world, which it sounds like you knew that as well.
Oh, I'm loving it. I will say currently, because it's in beta and I'm not editing mostly in beta. So what I tend to do is it tends to be one of the last steps in my edit process. I'll make sure I have all my music and sound effects and I'll separate them out. I'll export a whole track of just the audio. Maybe I'll do it in bits because sometimes it can be a bit weird with like a 20-40 minute thing. And it's easier to do it in chunks. It like figures it out much better. Currently, I'm sure that will change. As I said, this thing is in beta. And then I just re-export that and put that into my edit at the end as like a little audio mix.
Yeah,
go
it's
through
kind of like a baked in clip. You can just export a waveform out of here and then bring it into the regular version if you know you're going to need to use it.
Yeah, and I just mute the music and sound effects. So like I could get it all clear, and it's actually really fast, so it saved me a lot of time going through and like the equalizer and optimizers. And I don't like going into Audition. I will do if I'm forced, but I like to stay in one program. I am very much that girl. Keep me in the one program as long as possible. I like that's what most algorithms want from you anyway. Like, don't leave us, right?
So for anyone just joining in, we started off with text-based editing. Went through a bunch of different features there and new stuff on how to get rid of the pauses, as well as the ums and everything, which is possible. We couldn't show it today, but it is in the beta version. And then now we're kind of talking about the, what is the proper term? The audio enhanced
speech feature.
Enhanced speech. So we're doing that. And could you just show real quick again how you did that?
I have a second clip just in case.
There we go. Okay, cool.
So we have, this one is a bit different, and I think I wanted to show the differences. So this one has an alarm in the background as well. So
all of the cutting happens here, but even though the machine is massive, most of the work is done by this tiny little wheel. When the wheel moves over the surface of the glass, it creates a score line, which means the glass can then be snapped easily into the right shape and size. Think about a bar of chocolate. When you snap a bar of chocolate, you snap it where the ridges and the dents are. It works in a similar way.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay, who else wants chocolate now?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't think about.
Oh my goodness, that's what was happening with us as well. And I you know what blows my mind is like we do roughly plan out what to say, but she does most of this, like reads the script and goes, okay, I've got it, and will memorize all of that in one go. Like just instantly. It blows my mind.
I'm kind of jealous of people that can do that.
I get to show you everything, which is great in this second clip. So we're just going to click auto tag. And it's going to figure it out. Yeah, once again, it knows it is dialogue. We love that. We love it when it knows what's going on. And we're just going to click enhance. Oh, it's done it already. I think it's just doing it so quickly because usually I get that like 0 ticker and not today.
It's you just had to tell it was a good computer earlier on, and now it's running smooth.
You know, compliment sandwich. Betas need help, but it's a good computer. Anyway,
all of the cutting happens.
So
here,
it's done a really good job. That alarm is still there.
Massive,
I'll have to do a little extra work.
Done by this tiny little.
But like we also run by the principle of we're in a factory. The audience is going to understand we're in a factory. There's only so much we can remove, and we couldn't sit there for an hour while it's like a particular alarm that goes off at the end of the line, and it goes on for a while. So
I mean, just with everything going on in that facility, there's no way to really avoid that. Like,
yeah,
doesn't matter what microphone you have, how close the mic is or anything, like you're gonna have noise in there. And a lot of scenarios, you know, they might shoot someone sitting in a different room and then cut to the factory and B-roll, but it's just not as fun. Like, this is more immersive.
Yeah, we definitely like being in situation with the kids, like in situ. So that's what we enjoy doing. But I will say this factory was like 2 kilometers long. And it's not been switched off since 2011, and it's just like constant the whole way through making glass, like this giant sheet of glass. It's mad. Not that I should be talking about the factory, it just blew my mind. But I'll play with and without again.
Little wheel. When the wheel moves over the surface of the glass, it creates a score line.
Oh, it does get rid of the alarm.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. I was going to say,
shape and size. Think about a bar of chocolate.
It's a
When you
little bit
There's a-
better in the
a bar of
audio,
chocolate, you
Yeah, there's a
snap
little
it
bit
where the
of
ridges and the dents
distortion in
are.
there.
It works in a similar way.
but the slider is like game changing. I loved when they added the slider when it was Adobe Podcast. I was like, oh, thank you.
Yes, I love that, and it's only going to get better too. I think you could even run that at like 50%, and then if you wanted to run more effects on there, you could try to put some different, high pass filters and such on there. But just to be able to record something, and in this case, like that's the extreme. You have an alarm going off. I mean, I don't think I would probably have taken that shot. I probably would have gone somewhere else, but there's other times where, again, like I said, you're on production and you don't really have a choice. You don't have the time. You got to roll with it. So it's either
in an ideal
don't have
world
it at
we
all
would have,
or try to save it.
Yeah, it like we absolutely wish we could have done that, but like we wanted to show the machine doing it, and we have B-roll and cover, and she will do voiceover if we need it. But it's so much nicer when you're like showing the example and she's there, and because otherwise it's just B-roll all the time. And you don't want to do that.
And this isn't a perfect, I mean, you have her mic'd up and everything. This works great with cell phone footage.
Oh my goodness,
people
yes.
aren't mic'd at all. So, I mean, there's so many use cases for it.
Yeah, like this is a small production. It's incredibly run and gun and on a budget. But
when the wheel moves over the surface of the glass, it creates a score line, which means
I think
the
I'd
glass
rather
can
keep
then
a bit
be
of that alarm in.
snapped easily.
Like,
yeah, I think keeping some of the noise in for sure just kind of helps. It's part of the scene. I think it's kind of weird without it. But if you also try to take it all out, you're losing elements of her, her vocal voice.
So you got to make that compromise. And I think did I slide it all the way up here?
Melting process.
I did.
In fact, it takes about 3 days for all of the ingredients.
I can't get over that one. That one's just blown my mind.
I'm also always a big fan with like any effect, just crank it all the way up and then crank it all the way down, and you can really see what it's doing. It's a great way to kind of learn how it's working.
Oh, it's mixed the wrong one.
Melting process. In fact, it takes about 3 days for all of the ingredients to slowly make and melt their way through the furnace. Now it is way too hot for us.
I think
to go
that's the
inside,
sweet spot.
But we can have a little peek.
Like enough to.
I think, and it's probably a case-by-case basis too.
Absolutely. So that is the enhanced speech feature. It's very basic and easy to use, and it's it's another one of those amazing, mind-blowing features. I can't wait for that to ship into the main product. But we will see.
Agreed. So what else we got here? We're
going to move back. So we're going to move back here, and we're going to go to a great feature known as the remix tool. I feel like a lot of people, despite it being in the product for at least a year, a lot of people don't know about it. If you want to find it, you can go over here. I'll zoom in for you guys. Right click or hold, however you do it, and it's there. And you can set a shortcut for it. I don't have a shortcut for it. I don't know why. I think it's because otherwise I do R, but R is rate tool, and I'll figure it out.
I'm curious, anyone watching, if you knew how to access that remix tool, just out of curiosity. Not really super important, but yeah.
I would love it to have its own button, because this toolbar is not full, right?
It's a great point. I would love to be able to customize that. Adobe people, if you're listening, someone might be. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, that would be so cool, where you can put in your like favorite button, like just add it here instead of it being in menus.
Like keyboards,
yeah, that'd be great. Anyway, so I have this blooper reel. This is Maddie from when we did a bakery Easter thing. Again, this was incredibly run and gun. You get 3 hours in a factory. It's like, go. This was how to make hot crust buns over the Easter holiday.
And I gotta agree here with Penny in the chat. It's coming in saying, I like the diverse clips you're using to showcase different situations. And I gotta agree. Like it's fun to look at different examples and use cases and talk about chocolate. And
I'll have a really boring corporate video soon.
Oh, awesome. See, diversity.
Fun fact, she actually took me to a chocolate factory. That's the best job I've ever done. They gave me, and they never give the camera person, a giant goodie bag of like 3 Easter eggs, chocolate, these little chocolate fish. Like it was insane. It took us a month to get through it all.
I love that we're talking about candy, and Halloween is right around the corner.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's so true. So I have this little blooper reel that we made. It was just all the little random clips. Maddie was like, I'm going to make a short out of them or a reel or whatever, because kids love that. It makes them feel part of it. And it's like, oh, I have music and music takes so long to cut. And oh, it's really annoying. So at the moment, the blooper reel, quite boring without music, by the way. I mean, weird.
Wait, I want to do it.
I'm not starting anything.
Watching something just spin around and round.
Yeah.
It actually makes me feel
So
a
you
little
were
bit.
no good as a child on a roundabout then, or anything like that? Or
Oh no.
No?
A roundabout, the teacups, waltzers,
Couldn't
worst
do it?
enemy.
No.
Roundabout buns, roundabout buns, roundabout buns.
Oh my gosh.
That is just us.
I love this because this is what set life is like, being there shooting. It's all the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, we were actually singing that. The paint factory was roundabout buns because that was us. It was like you need to get a clip of the buns in the rotation oven, and we were just there because I know I'm not going to use the audio, so we were all there singing roundabout buns for like a good minute just to make sure I got the right like.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all this content. It's fun. It just makes it fun.
It is fun. I mean, there's one where she has to pick up all the dough and she gives it a slap. Yeah, this goes on for a while. Yeah, she's lovely. I think there's a cat. It gets involved.
Oh, I love cats.
And nobody wants a soggy bun.
Nobody wants a soggy bun.
Or a
No one wants a soggy bun. Like, just good advice.
Nobody wants a soggy bun.
So I'm just going to zoom out using the minus key, and I've got this long song, and this song sounds a bit like this.
Wait, I want to do it.
Yeah, it gives some energy.
Yeah, it feels like
energy.
The Mask.
Brings it up.
Remember that film? So I'm going to just make sure. Sorry.
That's Jim Carrey?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like 90s trailer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going for.
Love it. And Brem, yes, the audio speech enhance works great for removing some wind noise, especially if it's from like a cell phone or something. So gotta agree with you there.
It really is. I wish I had it just like a few months ago, even in the beta, but we live and learn, because I do a lot of shooting in helicopter hangars as well as a weird part of my job.
Fancy.
It sounds fancy, but it's helicopter safety companies.
Okay, so it's not your private helicopter, but we could fudge the facts a little bit.
But you hear like the hangars and stuff, so they're very noisy. And this is actually recently all my client for that particular thing has been like, that sounds just so good. It sounds so good, and it's great because I'm on the beta, so I've got an edge for a little while. So this is the remix tool. We're just going to make sure it's selected and not any other tool. It's got a little music note, little arrows inside. So definitely got that selected. And I'm simply just going to drag that to about the length-ish of the thing. And it's going to go in, analyze the clip. It's doing it super, super quickly. And it's already made cuts for me. So we have these lines are cuts. There's one I made earlier at the bottom, just in case this didn't work because it's live. Yep. But yeah, it's done a couple of cuts in the beginning and a couple of cuts there. And you can go in and customize it over here. So the remix duration, it says the difference of how things are happening, and you can customize it by clicking this arrow, and you will get a feature here where you can change the segments and variations, and we'll play with that in a minute. But let's see what it's done and if you can see the cuts. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to make this audio super big so we can really pay attention. And press play.
Wait, I want to do it.
Now it's a bit loud in the mix. I wouldn't have it that loud as you can see at the bottom, I did turn it down. But that's pretty seamless. I couldn't hear the cut. I don't know if you could.
I didn't even notice it. I was just jamming. I was vibing out.
Yeah, it's fun. If I wanted to change this, you know what? We were not going to use the new one I just did. We're going to use the one I did earlier because it's prepared and it's nicely mixed. So.
Wait, I want to do it.
I'm not starting anything.
Watching something just spin around and round.
Yeah.
It actually makes me feel a little bit.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh,
And
I
then,
love her laugh. It's so good.
honestly, I love this woman. So much love for this woman. She's so talented. And then there's another cut later where it tries to get the ending in.
Hey. Oh, that feels good.
And how do you feel about hot cross buns?
She goes, no comment.
Oh my goodness.
But like, yeah, it's perfect. Like that is perfect. And you can play around with, like, if you want it shorter, move it around the timeline, which is what I did here to make it just a smidge shorter. It's a bit longer over here, but it's pretty much the same segment at the end here. It's just pushed forward just a little bit. And I just, such a good job. Like, that used to take me hours to mix music with stems.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And now I don't have to.
I don't know if you're going to talk about this too, but I also know another little trick with that. If you have like a long or like a track that's very kind of variable, like different sections, or maybe the intro is just a really long buildup for 20 seconds and you don't want to utilize all that for your 30-second clip, you can actually just cut right there at maybe a good starting point where a beat drops or something like that, and then just remix that section, and it won't utilize the rest of the track, which is also great. I don't know if you're going to talk about that. I hope I didn't spoil it.
I wasn't going to, but we could add that in and see how that works.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the track. But yeah, I've run into a lot of tracks that maybe have a long buildup initially, or the ending is maybe a sting that lasts 20 seconds or something like that. You don't necessarily want that for a short video.
Let's cut here.
It's kind of cool because you could chop up a section of the track and tell it to remix only that section as well.
Yeah. I'm just doing some very quick cutting.
I'm putting you on the spot.
And right, so we have our remix tool. Let's get it to do it again. Let's go to here. Yeah, it did it. It didn't even take into account the beginning. It was just like, no, you wanted that. Did a great job. I can see that. Okay, let's hear. It's only got one cut. That's what's great. That's smooth.
Yeah, it's such a great tool. It's honestly one of my favorite tools inside of Premiere. I use it all the time, and you can even it's tricky, but I've used it in little instances where you can like extend a section too. It kind of like slows it down, changes the pitch. But man, everyone go play around with it. It's really fun. A lot of people don't know about it.
It's one of the best features in it as well. Like, honestly, like, if this doesn't get you using Premiere, I'd be shocked. But the nice thing about it is you can change it up, so you can ask for more segments if you wanted. And as you can see, it's put another in the beginning, I think. So you could just be like, put more segments. There we go. One here, one at the beginning. If you want it to be more varied, and it to make additional cuts, or again, there's variations. So you can be like, try different versions. Yeah, customizable. So you can see it changing.
Some options.
Yeah, which is great. So you could go through and be like, that's the sound I wanted, which is amazing.
Well, it also
way quicker.
Just, I mean, yeah. And what's the alternative? You would be putting cuts in a track, trying to find the exact right beat to mix it up, and it does it in seconds.
Yeah. So we've got like 20 odd minutes at 25. So I think I'm going to move on.
25 minutes. Yeah, let's do it.
We've still got a lot to cover. We're only on point 3 of 7. We'll see what happens.
Okay, well then let's go. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking it up over here with you.
Me too.
Intrigued.
So in fact, because this is a long clip and we're pressed for time, I'm just going to cut it very quickly. I'm just going to move this here. This is a 2-hour piece of footage I got given. This is the corporate footage. You can see they've hard-coded a time code into it, which I super loved when I was told to use this for B-roll. So...
And to Robert in the chat, that remix tool is not in beta. It's actually been in Premiere for probably at least about a year now.
At least a year.
So it's there. Go check it out.
It might be a year and a half at this point, because I think it came in over a summer release. Like, it wasn't an Adobe Max release, if I remember correctly. So
I'm not sure.
I might be remembering wrong. So we have this footage. It's just a bunch of loads of different clips. Look at it, like helicopters for days. So what we want to do is we want to simply just right click it and go to scene edit detection. And Adobe Sensei is going to just sit there and figure out where all the cuts are, which is so useful. Like, I love this. So you can ask it to apply a cut at each detected cut point, which is what I want. You can ask them to create an entire bin where all the clips are separated, which is great. I don't want that right now though, because it's just going to make it. My project window is very tiny. I'm a big preacher of like big organize. Half of editing is just organizing. In fact, most of it, 90% of it is your organizing. So
yeah,
great if you're a type A.
I'm a stickler for organization.
We're just going to click analyze, and it's going to sit there and figure out this. I still left an hour. I got rid of half of it. It's still an hour. But it's going to do it reasonably quickly and gives us some time to vamp and chat. So
well, why don't you while we're waiting for that, real quick, kind of again, let's just do that quick recap for anyone joining in or maybe missed the first hour. I guess it's been an hour already. Wow.
Oh my goodness, we're so fast
of the segment. So yeah, real quick recap. We talked text-based editing, new features inside of both the new version of Premiere and version 24, removing pauses and such. And then also within the Premiere beta version, there's removing filler words and such like that.
Great
we
memory.
talked about how to chop things up. And by that, let me be a little more specific. We're not talking veggies. We're talking how to cut your edit up based off of transcription using text-based editing. Boy, so did I miss stuff in text-based editing?
We discussed how to search your timeline using text-based editing. And I tell everyone about that feature. That is game-changing when you're like, oh, I remember when they said that, but I don't know where it is. So that's great. We talked about removing pauses, which was a big one. Like that. And filler words. But I think that was it. And then we moved on to enhance speech, which is so good. Like, I'm not afraid of AI, but a lot of people are, and with good reason. But I do think it can help.
Yep. So we got enhanced speech, and then the remix tool, and
we've moved on to scene edit detection.
Okay, scene edit detection. So we're taking your full clip that maybe you have or somebody provided you. I run into a lot of clients that don't necessarily have the raw footage. They just have what they have. You gotta work with it.
I was like, can we get one without the time code? And they were like, no. I was like, okay, at least it's 4K, so like I can crop it. But
so we got scene cut detection here. For everyone in the chat, what's on the agenda next? What else we got to talk about? We got about probably another 25 minutes or so.
Oh, we're going to cover it all. We're definitely going to do that. So we got auto-reframe. So this is a feature where you can like change the aspect ratio of each edit without damaging a previous edit, which is great. We have auto-log detection. So it's some new color features that have come into 24. I thought they were only in the beta, but I found out today they are in fact in 24 with a new settings tab in Lumetri color. So we're just going to quickly go through that and talk about that. And the auto color button, which is an AI feature that came out last year that replaced the original auto color button, which wasn't great. And Adobe will tell you it wasn't great, but their new one is great. So
excellent. Very cool. So right now, we're kind of just waiting for this to finish processing and doing its thing.
It's nearly done. It's an hour long. Like,
oh my goodness, an hour long. We decided to do that live. Wow.
I did get rid of I was like, oh, this is a long clip. It's 2.5 hours long. I got rid of half, forgetting that that's still an hour.
Wow, but it's probably saving so much time. I will say, anyone that's watching on Behance, if this is your jam, if you are interested in being a guest on Adobe Live, or if you know someone who's interested in being a guest, over in the chat on the right-hand side, there's this little tab and it says guest recommendations. Go ahead and fill that out and recommend people, recommend yourself. We love to get new people in here as well as get people coming back. It's so nice. I mean, Mandy, I know we've done this before, but it's great that I get to work with you again, and
I
after
love
meeting you
it.
in person at Max. So I love it. It looks like we're done processing here. So what have we accomplished?
So I'm just going to zoom in on the timeline. You'll notice that now every single cut has been applied. That would have taken me over an hour to do, right? It's an hour of footage. I would have had to watch it and cut. And that's like, that's not just an hour. That's like additional time to do the cut. And I know the shortcut. It's Command K on mine. I have to look because it's automatic.
Yep.
But like, it's done it. Like, and I can have a look through. Thank God it's silent. And there is cuts exactly where they need to be. Like, it's even figured this one out, which is basically the same.
Love it.
Yeah.
So simple.
So simple.
Well, it's actually probably really complicated the way it does it. I shouldn't say simple for the engineers, but simple for us.
Yeah, I don't know what magic and witchcraft is going on behind the scenes here, but like scene edit detection, like this has saved my butt a few times because it's
I
every
use
now and
it all the
again.
time.
It's just like a client's like, well, we have preferred stock footage we use or whatever, and it's always in one time. I'm like, and ever since this has come in, I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then I just quickly can scan through and get rid of what I need to, which is great. So that is scene edit detection. We're now going to go into reframe. We've headed back to Maddie because we've got this, like,
We love Maddie.
Maddie's great, but like this was meant to be a reel. It wasn't meant to be in 16:9. This isn't going on YouTube. YouTube doesn't want 1 minute of a 16:9 video. It wants it as a short. It's like no short videos that aren't shorts. And if it's over a minute, it better be a widescreen video because it doesn't like that either. So this is really easy. There's so many ways to do this. You can either go into here, right click, and click auto reframe sequence over here in the menu, or you can go over here, pretty sure, and click it. Maybe not. There is a way to do it elsewhere here. But yeah, we're going to do it this way, I guess, because I forgot. So, and it happens.
To take in there.
There is like 5 ways to do
Yeah.
everything in Premiere as well. So that could be a lot. Oh, you could go into sequence. That's what it is. You go up here, sequence, and auto reframe sequence down here. So we're just going to click that. We're not going to nest clips because I want it to keep I've got dip to whites in between, and it's got that. Originally it had that sound effect that's on a lot of Pixar stuff that's like boop, 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 everything, just to give it a little bit of,
Love it.
Each cut.
So not nesting clips.
Yeah, we're going to ask it to do a vertical 916. Let's rename this as Adobe Live Vertical so I know which one it is. And we're just going to click create. It's going to do it. You can see it working away at the bottom down here. Let's see if I can spotlight that. Oh, no, I drew. There we go. Down here, you can see it's working away. It's not going to take long at all. And then it's going to make a whole new sequence for me. So it's not going to touch this. It's going to just make a whole new one. Now, the question is where did it put the new one? It's down here, I think. Auto reframe sequences. Here it is. I'm going to click it open. I think this is it. Right. I'm going to preface this by saying it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it gets you at least 90% of the way there, which is the time saver.
Yep. Well, we can always could we?
Sorry, it's loud. Yep.
Yeah, let's turn that down just a little bit.
Turn down the rest.
Okay, we're making sure everyone's awake here.
I'm not starting anything.
Watching something just spin around and round. It actually makes me feel
So
a
you
little
were no
bit.
good as a child.
So there I would want it to focus on the other person, and it didn't.
Roundabout, the teacups, waltzers, worse than
Wow, it even
roundabout
panned
buns,
over there too.
roundabout buns,
Yeah, it did that. That was good.
roundabout buns. Yeah.
Oh, does it follow her? It does.
Yeah, that works well.
Hot cross buns, hot cross buns, hot cross buns. Hot cross buns in the roundabout buns. Hey. Oh, that feels good.
Wouldn't advise that when you're
How do you
baking.
feel about hot cross buns?
And nobody wants a soggy bun.
Nobody wants a soggy bun.
I know
Or
what
a
it's good to
soggy
him
bottom.
there.
Would that make a soggy bottom?
No, that's
No.
that's more pastry work. That is.
Never
That's
mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah,
it got
made
us
quick
most of the
work.
way there.
Yeah, I love it. And it also scaled everything up automatically too, which is great.
Love
You don't have
that.
to go in clip by clip.
Yeah.
What if we just wanted to apply that to one clip? How would we do that?
Auto reframe one clip or change
Mhm.
the auto reframe?
Yeah, like say you were, I mean, I like the way that you did it here with the whole sequence, but maybe if you just had 2 clips and you didn't make a whole new thing, the auto reframe effect, you can just drag and drop right onto a clip.
No way.
Oh,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So
Well,
if
I've
you
never
search
done one clip.
in, so if you were, maybe if you had another clip here, you could just bring in a raw clip or just delete the auto reframe off of one of your clips there. And then, yeah, there should be the reframe. There
Let's
it is,
have a
auto
look.
reframe.
So let's go back to that timeline here. Reframe
You-
this.
You could probably do it on the vertical one. Like say you already had a vertical
Yep.
timeline and you brought in another clip. So maybe take auto reframe off of one of those clips because I believe it's just an effect that's applied.
Let's just go up here and delete it. Right.
Yep. So now it's all scaled up again. Well, maybe
It
you
did
have
it.
to do it in a so
let's do it
yeah,
on a fresh clip. Let's do it over
yeah,
here.
you might need to, yeah, exactly. Well, it
One
won't
where
need
it's
to,
not done.
it would
brain
need
power.
to be, you'd need to change your sequence settings there to be a different you know, vertical.
That is true. That's true. Oh, you know what? We can absolutely do that here. So we could go and drag it. Did it not drag? There we go. Go through.
There you go. So there it reframed it.
Analyze.
Yeah, I think it's already done. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it did it, didn't it?
So you can, yeah, anything in there with that effect, you can kind of go in there and tweak it too. You can check to override, re-keyframe, that sort of stuff. Oh yeah. This is what's great about the Adobe community, because we can all like chat nerd talk here.
Let's try this clip, which should have been him talking. Let's see if it figures it out. Oh, it doesn't. But it's really easy. You can just go in and adjust the positions. It's up here, isn't it? I tend to just switch it off and then rescale it, but that's probably not the right way to do it.
Yeah, you could do, I mean, whatever works, but yeah, auto reframe, I guess the short version is you can also apply it as an effect if you were just to create a fresh 9:16 sequence.
Why did it do that? Why did it do that?
This is really small on my screen right now. I have so many screens. I'm trying to see everything here.
You're fine.
Yep.
It's just having a moment.
That's okay. But that's the effect there. I know we got more to chat on as well. We got
a few bits on the way.
Just over 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
And we've got
minutes.
Just a little bit of color to cover. A little bit of color to cover.
Oh, very punny of you.
It just took a little bit of time there. Right. So autolog detection. We're back to Andy. Hi, Andy.
Andy's a pro.
Andy's a pro. I'm going to mute him just in case because we don't need the sound. So we're going to go into the Lumetri color panel. I've got mine up here set up. They've added this new feature over here, settings, that did not used to exist, which is great. And something I've noticed is just it knows if I want a LUT used on it. I was blown away. I was playing with this earlier. I was like, this didn't used to be here. This is amazing. I used to have to like go in and go browse, find it, put it in, and it just knew and it did it. And I love that.
I honestly, I haven't played with this yet. So this is all brand new for me, that settings tab there.
This feature is like 2 weeks old. So yeah. I'm not surprised. So you can do this several ways. You can tell it, you know what, let's start with the auto tone map by media, which is quicker. And it should, it's too new. It hasn't auto-toned it. We'll come back to that. Yeah, that's fine. There's another way to do it and it will do it the other way. So I could go in and just do that and put my LUT on. That's great. Love that. It's already done it on the clip and then that doesn't affect my other color workflow. I can play with other, I've got more ways to put LUTs on than I ever needed now. I've got 2 other ways. There's 3 ways to put on LUTs. There used to be 2. Now there's 3, which is a lot. So we can
Well, they got
that.
2 more. You said everything can be 5 ways in Premiere. So we got
yeah, it really can.
Shout out to 2 in the chat. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but welcome to the stream.
So the other way to do this is you could go up to File, project settings over here. The reason why I actually had to look at my notes, because this has been in beta for a while and they've moved it 3 times. So it took me a second to realize. And you could go to color just here. And you can tell it to auto detect log footage in the color space. There we go. That's what it should do. And it will do it now every time you put log footage in, and it automatically apply like a Rec 709 on, which is awesome. So I thought that was great. I wonder, it's disabled it here now because it's on the main project as opposed to per clip. But we'll let them know that didn't work.
And is this in the beta version right now?
This is actually now in the shipping. This is now in the shipping. We're in the
version 24.
So version. It was in Premiere in the beta, which I hadn't used because, as I said, I typically I use it to fix my audio, but I don't edit in the beta typically, because especially if I need to share a file, I want it to be in one others can access. Yeah. But I've known about this feature, that it was coming for a long time, and it's great. Like, it doing the work for you, you not having to make an adjustment layer, put a LUT on it, like all those things. It just takes that faff out the edit, that filler.
Yep. So we've talked about all kinds of time-saving things here. I love this. We've covered a lot.
It's so good. So yeah, there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention in the project settings, it's going to take me a second to find it because it's new. So maybe I've got it here. So there's a new thing. So people used to be like, hey, my monitor looks different from my edit.
Yeah.
And we've all felt that, and we've all spoken to Adobe about that. And I can assure you there are many editors talking to Adobe about that. They kind of have fixed it in 2 ways. So the first one is you can now change your gamma settings. So this is more for you Apple users who experience this. Apple have their own gamma, and they changed gamma a couple of years ago when they went to their silicone racks. And it's not your broadcast standard 2.2 something. It's 1.96, which is why it looks so different when you're editing to when you export, because you're viewing it completely differently and you're looking at it differently as well. The edit, if that makes sense. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an issue a lot of people were running into, but it's been fixed. And I think it was, like you said, I think it was more of an Apple
It was an Apple problem,
the way
not
they've kind of
Adobe one.
Had their own world of color.
It was a nightmare because I work with a lot of creative directors, and they were like, I can see on your monitor it looks that way, but it doesn't look that way on my phone and computer. And firstly, when you have talks, the first thing you're going to say is, hey, I can't calibrate your screen. I can tell you it's accurate, color accurate on mine. I've done all the calibration settings, but I can't vouch for your screen. But the one thing is this gamma problem was a big one that people were running into, and a lot of creative directors use Apple products, so I like to stay in Apple Gamma personally. And you can do that here. It's in project under the Lumetri color settings, and it says viewing gamma, and you can now change it from standard broadcast, sorry, it's 2.4 not 2.2, 2.2 is web, to 1.96, which is QuickTime.
Love it. Yeah.
So
and that's all brand new in the new version.
You can see how it affects the program monitor.
And so it's exporting it that way as well as how you're previewing it?
Yeah, so you're previewing it in the way it's going to look on an Apple computer, which is just
that's a big tip right there, or just, I don't even know if you can call that a tip, but like almost more of an essential.
And then you have standard broadcast, so you were like, okay, so it's going to look like this across many screens. It's a little underexposed, but in QuickTime it's not. So there is that. And then the other one is there's a LUT that Apple have Apple might forgive me, Adobe have recommended for years, the gamma correction LUT. I'll just check for time. This is the last thing. So basically you can now change, you can have that LUT already on your project, which is great. I just need to figure out where it is. It's in here somewhere.
What would you call a LUT? What is a LUT?
It's like a preset, I guess. I saw it here earlier and I completely can't find it. I was like, oh, there's no way they've done that now. That's amazing. Input that. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's there. No, it's not.
Things get moved around and going from beta to the regular one. So
yeah, it takes a minute, but you can. It is already in the Lumetri color settings, which is great. It just, I clearly. Let's do a refresh. Isn't there? It's not there. No, I can't figure out where it is. That's fine.
It's all right. So is that, do you have other content to cover, or are
that,
we,
what did I do
kinda...
there? I just scrolled on my mouse. I think I
Might
did
have
a double up.
Yeah.
I do. You're right. I forgot the last thing we were meant to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we want to just do a little bit of basic color. It's even here. It's another. See, this is why I have different sequences, so I can see how I'm running along. So we're back to Maddie again. So I shot with color baked on this because it's a quick and dirty thing. I know there's a couple of people. I just needed to send clips as well to like different people, and that they don't know what they're doing. So I'm not going to give them a log file. So let's just mute her because even though sensational speaker, we don't want to hear. But the white balance is a little off. We're in a factory. I'm working with lighting. Oh, that's a brush. There we go. Let's give you a nice still. Oh, Maddie. There we go. So
and just so you know, we probably only have about like 3 minutes or so to cover this before we kind of wrap things up. Yeah.
So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click auto and it's going to figure out for me how to color that. And it's done it that quickly. So this is a great way to learn how to color because you can see how the sliders have changed and play with them. If you're not happy with that, you can just click your little pipette and tap it onto something white. There we go. Yeah, it's decided to go a bit yellower. Yeah. It's not my thing. I actually prefer. There we go. That's better. And that's kind of it. It's just like done a very quick, easy thing. And people can much easier do that than grade an S-Log clip.
And has this changed at all from the last version?
So the previous auto button was just an auto and it wasn't great and you didn't see how the sliders changed. So it was just like a auto that went on top. And now you can literally see, and it's a great way of learning grading because you can be like, oh, the contrast has gone down, but the highlights have gone up, but they put the shadows down a bit and the whites have gone down. And it's just, you can play around and see how that looks and turn it on and off and learn how that made a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally forgot that it doesn't show previously it wasn't showing the sliders and everything. So that's actually very helpful. So we've covered a lot of ground. I know we've recapped it a few times. We've talked just so many features. And I think to put it all kind of in like a 30-second log line, basically, it's all about being efficient, saving time, and new features. That's kind of what I would say.
AI that helps me, that's not doing my job for me. I like it that takes all the little annoying tasks, like that makes me more efficient, but it's not actually doing a whole edit and creating the story for me, or that's personally what I like. So,
and we've talked enhancing speech, we've talked text-based editing, just color, all sorts of things. Do you have a favorite out of all these? Remix? Yeah.
It's really hard to have a favorite because these are really solid features they've implemented. Like, they're really good. I'm not just saying that because they have me on. Like,
well, you're also really good too, and definitely want to thank you for being on the stream again here. Where can people find you and follow you and just see some of your work?
You can find me on Instagram. It's just Mandy Celine. It's my name. Don't wear it out.
And then how about your work with Breadbox?
My work with Breadbox. I have a website called breadboxstudios.co.uk. It's a UK URL. If you need to hire, there's there. But I will say at the moment we're busy for the rest of the year.
That's a good thing to have. Awesome.
Yeah, we're going to try and do a hiring round next year. So
well, everyone go check out Mandy's work. She's super fun. I love the work you're doing here. I love the bloopers. Definitely check out the replay. This will be archived on YouTube as well as Behance. We covered a lot of ground, so I definitely recommend going back, checking that out. Also, maybe you are viewing this in the future, so pause, replay, take notes. Mandy, do you have anything else you want to add before I close this out?
I hope just have a great time playing and experimenting, especially if you're a newer editor. Like, play with the features. There's other things as well I didn't even get to touch on, like morph cut, which is really useful. I should have said that.
It's like we covered a lot of ground, so we'll have to have you back on again.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for everyone in the chat for participating and joining in. Stay tuned. We do have another Adobe Live episode, I guess, coming up. It's called Animation 301, and it is with Ray Belvedere, aka Pixie Pew. Everyone knows her, loves her. We're talking After Effects, and in this episode, she'll be creating swirling water and make it look like it's pouring out of something using masks and paths inside of After Effects. So stick around for that. Be sure to subscribe to Adobe Live on YouTube, as well as Behance and Instagram at Adobe Live. And then, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, word slip. As we mentioned earlier in the show, go check out the podcast and subscribe to that. It's Adobe's podcast called In the Making. It's on Spotify. Go follow Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. Go follow
Alex.
Thanks so much, everyone. And hope to see you all soon. That's all we got. Take care.
Bye.